a big theme going on in the last little bit. And so I've really been leaning into and coaching a lot of my clients around their feelings. Because what I'm finding and what I'm realizing is that we seem to have this misconception that there's good feelings and bad feelings. The fact is, you have the right to all of your feelings, and none of them are good or bad. They just are. They're not good or bad. You get to feel all the feels when they come up. And it's kind of like identifying first, what does a negative feeling look like for you? And most would say, well, it looks like anger, it looks like rage, it looks like sadness, it looks like jealousy, it looks like depression. It like what is the feeling, the negative feeling, or we think is negative? And what is the positive feeling? Well, again, I guess it would be the opposite. If that's your definition of negative, the positive would be the opposite. So that would be like joy and happiness and fulfillment and abundance and prosperity and it's just faith, right? Like that would be the opposite. But I want you to think of your emotions like a clock. Okay, I don't have a clock in front of me, but I want you to picture a clock. Okay, like an old school clock, like with hands and everything. Okay. So on this clock, you have 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, right? So picture each hand, each number being an emotion. Okay, so let's picture opposite ends of the clock. So you've got 9 o'clock, let's call that anger. And you've got 3 o'clock, the opposite, it's on the opposite side of the clock. And let's call it, what's the opposite of anger? Happiness. Okay, so we've got anger and we've got happiness. The fact is that the hand on the clock and us as humans, we start at 12 and we start to go all the way around and we hit happiness. And we hang out there and we love it and we're going around and we're carrying it all the way through 6 o'clock. And then something happens, right? Something outside of us comes in, we hit 9 o'clock and we're angry. Now, what the majority of people do is they carry that anger on all the way until something outside of them happens again to make them happy. They get a like on their Facebook profile. They get a new follower on Instagram. Someone says that they like the way that they look. Someone, it's payday or it's Friday. It's 3 o'clock all over again. Okay. But it's an outside circumstance. The fact is that you choose how long you hang out at this point, and you choose how long you hang out at this point. I can guarantee that 9 o'clock's coming. 9 o'clock's coming, and I can't teach you like for 9 o'clock never to come, for anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, all those things. I can guarantee they are part of your journey. They're part of it. But you know what? Instead of hating on it, treat it like a blip in time. You can literally choose to spend a millisecond there. You can say, 9 o'clock's coming. There it is. Feel it. And within a second, you're out of there. You're out of there. You choose to get out of there. Now, everybody says, well, it's easier said than done. And it's like, it's actually really easy. It's actually really easy. You just have to choose to get out of your own way. Forgive yourself. Because I talk to people every day that they've spent years in this state of what we call anger. And again, it's not a bad feeling because you need to feel anger in order to know its opposite. If I want to feel happiness and joy, how do I know what happiness and joy feels like if I have never felt anger or sadness? The opposite, right? How do I know? So be grateful for the contrast. You need the contrast. Forgive yourself, but decide not to hang out there. Understand that there's an opposite to whatever it is that you're feeling. And you get to release control over the feeling. And now some people say, like, really release control? Like, how am I even supposed to do that? The fact is if you're hanging out in this state that's not serving you, and again, it's not positive or negative, it's either just serving where you want to go or it's not. Okay? So if you're hanging out in this state, this feeling that's not serving you, the only thing that's going to get you out of it is a decision. And again, I've talked to people, anger, grief, lack and limitation, sadness, like they are in it for years and years and years and years and years, until one day it's like they decide to change the batteries in their clock. We're going to keep the hand moving. Because when you're in this state, you can't, it's not that you're not exposed to the opposite, you just can't see it. You can't see it because you're so consumed with this feeling. And again, it's not good or bad, right or wrong, but you get to release it. Now picture, so I've got 2 cups here, okay? I'm the queen of cups. Always got cups going. Got a teacup too. These are my 2 cups, okay? If I'm hanging on to these 2 cups and you try to give me another cup, can I accept it? Can I take it? No, I can't, because my hands are full. And say this cup, it's not full of water, it's full of anger and resentment. And this cup, that's not a protein shake, that is full of shame and guilt and frustration and unworthiness. Now, if you try to hand me the opposite, if you try to hand me love and joy and happiness and abundance and prosperity, you try to hand me that, can I accept it? No, I can't, because I'm full. And I'm hanging on to these so tight through control. I got to control these. I can only control myself. I don't know who I am outside of the states that I am feeling right now. I don't even know who I am. And I'm hanging on to them so tight. And I'm telling you, it's literally as simple as going. So when people say to me, Delynn, that's a lot easier said than done, I'm like, I don't know. Did it look hard for me to do this? It's that it can be that easy. But if you're in this state, and it's even easy to go, oh, I'm going to even leave those over there. I acknowledge them. I see them. I'm not going to pretend they're not there. And I'm not even going to pretend that they're not going to wiggle their way in again. Because they will. It's a guaranteed part of the process. And I'm grateful for these states. Because I know these, I also know its opposite. I also know its polarity. I can't know up if I don't know down. I can't know left if I don't know right. I can't know in if I don't know out. You need them. But feel them and immediately say, is this feeling serving me? Or is it causing me to just hang on out of just pure control? The fact is, if I hang on to these for like a long period of time, my hands are going to get tired. And anyone that's hung on to an emotion that's not serving them for a long period of time, when you agree, it's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. But when we have these feelings that aren't serving us, we begin to suppress them. Anything that's not expressed is suppressed. And the feelings that aren't serving us, we always suppress them. Nobody expresses them. They're not inspired to express them. Why would you? So you might start out with something like fear, like this not knowing, which then causes fear, and you suppress it. And then that fear, because fear turned inwards, when we suppress it and it goes inwards, that's what anxiety is. And then we suppress that. We never express it. And then that turns into depression, right? And we just suppress that again, or we'll medicate it or we'll do whatever, but we're not dealing with it. We're not saying, yes, this is what I have. This is what's going on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to allow the clock to keep moving. This gets to be a very intentional decision. And if you're going, oh, that's me. I'm not going to tell you to ignore it. You need the feeling you're in right now. You need it. But if you don't like it, if it doesn't feel the way you want it to feel, or you're sick and tired of feeling that way, what's the opposite of the way you feel right now? What's the opposite? What's the 3 o'clock to your 9 o'clock? What's the up to your down? What's the in to your out? Because when you say this is the opposite and this is what I choose, you'll start to actually move in that direction. And when you get on the other side of it, you won't suppress yourself anymore. You will express. You can't help it. Because you're so inspired to. You're like, this feels freaking amazing. Why would I suppress this? And people will notice it in you. It's amazing. The first thing is you have to acknowledge how you're feeling right now. And it's not good or bad, right or wrong. Everything just is. Someone said to me the other day, why do bad things happen to good people? Bad things don't happen to good people. Things happen to people. Experiences happen to people. It's how you respond to them. And sometimes things are going to happen and your response is going to be sadness. Maybe you have grief, but you decide what it looks like. So many people have said to me, it's been just over a year since my mom died. And again, in our society, we're like, oh, death is such a bad thing. I don't know. Is it? It's actually been a pretty incredible experience as I've witnessed it. And there's moments where 9 o'clock comes and I'm like, I'm not looking like this. I am like ugly cry face. And I let it happen. And I move through it. But I'm not hanging out there. It doesn't serve me. And my mom would kick my ass if I hung out there. That is not how it goes. What outside circumstances have impacted you and how have you responded to them? Have you responded to them? Do you have your hands full of anger and resentment and grief and all the things? Or are you full? Or are you like just tired? Tired of being in that state of hanging on. Your hands are getting tired. Your arms are getting tired. Your body's feeling it because you've been hanging on to that feeling for so long. Make the decision to put the cup down. Just play around with it. The thing is, though, if you've been in this state for a long time, you're now in the habit of being in that state. So I talk to people all the time. They're like, I have been in a state of depression for so long. I don't know how to be not depressed. It's okay. We're going to find something to not be depressed about. I promise you have so many things in your life that you can be grateful for. But when you're stuck in the problem, you can't see the solution. If you need help with this, reach out. Happy to help. Thank you guys for joining me. Remember, you get to feel all the feels. None of them are right or wrong, good or bad. Enjoy the ride.